Introducing the robotic finger, always ready to check your pulse. Yo, I've been sleeping on the Mini Max model. When you really dig into it, it's pretty entertaining stuff. I mean, honestly, I've seen worse trailers. Yo, check it out. Robots can be built with measuring tape now. Look at that. It just climbs right up. You suck it right in. So I always thought Google Glass was like the first time we put lame TV sort of images in front of our eyeballs, but it turns out they were actually doing lame stuff like that way back in 1962. Who would have thunk? During election night, I actually found Perplexity AI to be the best place to find election news and watch the counts come in. It's an AI-powered system that actually prevents people from drowning. The system has more than 100 optical thermal cameras. Some new research that looks at just how common fake Twitter profiles are that use AI avatars. Tech Explorer did a great job looking at the difference between Biden and Trump on AI policy and how the tech companies are now repositioning themselves. Endangered bees actually got in the way of Mark Zuckerberg's plan to build nuclear power plants to power his AI ambitions. There's a new AI-powered system that can detect toxins in the air at record speeds and precision. Fascinating research about LLMs that actually have time to be introspective, to actually think about their own thoughts. And what they end up learning about themselves is scary interesting. There's some research looking at the health impact of an entire city once it goes all electric vehicles. Air quality and human health covered in this research. Not sure how I feel about this, but if you start your ChatGPT conversation with the words "I hate you" in all capitals, you sometimes get better responses. We're going to talk about a really interesting concept that because evolution shaped the human brain, it actually is a long million-year learning process that has some knowledge built into it that you don't get by just scaling up data in AI systems. But it's like very ethereal, but very interesting topic. And I'm going to tell you about my pure hatred for Norman doors. Join me in starting a revolution against them. The world just doesn't need these. So let's start by introducing you to your new finger friend. Look, there's the robotic finger right there on the wrist. You see the pulse moving its way up the arm like that, super slow? I mean, how interesting would that feel on your wrist? And it's not just about feeling either, it's utility. Smart Chinese researchers actually asked, what could we do with a soft robotic finger? They decided they could both sense the pulse on a person or find an abnormal lump. Yep, so this thing can actually help you find breast cancer. The finger is made of a conductive fiber coil and liquid metal. It can sense how far that it bends and how much force is applied to it, giving it a human-like sense of touch. And thanks to artificial intelligence, it can successfully identify lumps in silicone sheets and measure your pulse. These Chinese scientists don't want to just stop at one finger. They're thinking, bring me the whole hand. The team envisions creating a fully dexterous robot hand that could handle medical exams, bringing advanced healthcare tools to areas with limited medical staff. Rock on, bendy finger. All right, there's an AI model. You type in text, it gives you video. It's kind of like Sora. It's called Mini Max. And I guess the sense that it was kind of like about the same as the other things on the market, but I'm starting to really think that it's incredible. It doesn't produce videos that have bridged the uncanny valley perfectly, but I found myself deep enough in this little trailer demo that I thought, I don't care. I'm kind of getting sold on it. Like the same way I would a video game trailer or something like that. I mean, it's not like as in-depth as Star Trek II: The Wrath of Khan or anything, but it is very engaging. Particularly this flying dragon scene that goes into the horse. And then, well, that part was a little okay, but this is awesome. Like some kind of flying dragon that looks like an Avatar world. And then these kind of cool glowing green creatures and some Harry Potter dragon warrior stuff. Monsters look super interesting. And that looks definitely like it could be a video game. Look at that kid giving those Mini Max coins to all these different people. And look, just a quick X search and you can see monkeys, food fight style paper battles. And one of the more obscure Star Wars fights that I've seen in a while. So check out this climbing robot with extending tape. Call it a measure limb because, see, it's like a measuring device that they use to make it go up and down. But it's pretty neat. And then see, when it goes up at a full angle like that, it can just drop down because of the weight at 90 degrees and go over the top. I mean, maybe not the most practical robot, but for the DIY crowd, dang, that is AI taken to the next level. All right, so you may remember the term glass hole from when Google Glass was everywhere and it was like just those people in public bothering people. Well, it turns out they weren't the first. Actually, way back in 1962, there were TV glasses, and I could not believe this. This is from the BBC archive, and would you have ever imagined, long before the Apple Vision, long before Google Glass, that there was a wearable TV created in the early 60s? As the article says, although they never caught on, they were clearly ahead of their time. Ahead of their eyes. Well, the Borg. Yeah, I guess the Borg do kind of have that. Yeah, you're right. Borg had it. But did anybody care? No, that's why it didn't go anywhere. Watching TV is something that is meant to be done as a break, not something you do while you're walking around trying to live life. All right, Alexa 707. Why would God give us two eyes if one wasn't meant for TV? Let's see if you commenters can answer that question. Click on this join button right below my video. Grimlock tier is only $6.99. So one thing that I did not expect on election night was to be going to Perplexity's AI search engine for like all of my updates. I came across this article on Tech Radar that said that there is the Election Information Hub. And for something like that, where you're kind of wanting like updates every 30 minutes or something, AI kind of summarization of new data is such a good use case. So the point was you were supposed to be able to find election-related information on the platform. So they tapped into some what they were calling reliable sources, reputable providers like the Associated Press and Democracy Works, to try to ensure that it's not summarizing any fake information. And then the hub will also include data on states and federal elections, as well as propositions on the ballot in different states, then real-time tracking. So it kind of makes sense to me that there's all these different precincts and they're all like giving their information at different times. And there's different questions on the ballot in different places, and you're trying to put all of that together. And one of the greatest things that these large language models can do is scan over a bunch of different data. They can summarize vast quantities of information like in a way nobody else could. And that turned out to be a really nice just kind of way to go to one spot and get a summary of all the updates. Okay, so of course you can do like the presidential race, the Senate race, and the House race. But the voter guide is really fascinating too. Because if you're doing like mail-in voting like I did, you can go to this voter guide, you can put in your zip code. And of course, all these people that are down ballot that you've never heard of and have no time to learn about, you can do that here. So if you take this rando David Robertson, it shows you the sources for where it's pulling information, background on the person, sort of their platform views, their campaign details. And in a reasonable amount of time, you can click on 2 or 3 people and get a sense for who they are. And they made this like free. See, I'm using it without even being logged in. And no matter how quick cable news is or 24-hour things, it's never going to be quite as quick as something like this that can summarize. So it's worth sharing. All right, next up, if you have a fear of drowning or you're not good at swimming or you're worried about, dogs or babies or anything drowning, then there is a new AI system that will interest you. This new system integrates artificial intelligence, robotics, big data, and it provides a continuous monitoring, early warning, and autonomous rescue system that aims to significantly reduce drowning risks. The system features more than 100 optical and thermal cameras to ensure 24/7 high-definition surveillance across key water zones. So there's these cameras everywhere. They've also got infrared. And if they see anything out on the water, somebody that's drowning, somebody that has the signs of like your arms going up or flailing, or a human that doesn't seem like it's around any other humans, or there's no life preservers. There's so many things you can train it on. Then it sends out an autonomous rescue boat called an unmanned surface vehicle that navigates directly to the affected individual using precise coordinates. See, those are some of those little AI boats that can just like drop a life preserver, bring some cameras closer to the scene to see what's up, what kind of help might be needed. So if you were wondering how common are fake profile pictures on Twitter, we do have some new research on that. And it turns out after looking at 15 million accounts, there's actually less than 1%. So not too bad. Now that's just AI generated profile pics. So, that's not the whole story of bots, but they did find that the analysis also indicates many of these accounts are fake profiles that spread, for example, political propaganda and conspiracy theories. So it was an AI model that was trained to distinguish between real and AI generated images. So that's what it was out there looking for. And out of the ones that were flagged as fake, more than half were created in 2023. That also makes sense. It was pretty hard to get AI fakes before then. They went back and checked 9 months later to see how many were still active, and about half had been blocked. And then researchers also analyzed the content that the fake image accounts spread on Twitter. And some of the recurring themes that emerged were politics, often with a reference to Trump, COVID-19, vaccinations, the war in Ukraine, lotteries, finance, and cryptocurrency. Also, they used the StyleGAN 2 model to find which ones were fake, so that's like not the greatest model. I mean, it's probably the best one out there, but I'm sure that a lot of the images are just so real that there isn't a good fake detector. At least on LinkedIn, I feel that way. I mean, honestly, even real people, like they take their photos in like the bathroom and then they use those AI things to make them look all perfect. Like that's pretty much fake. All right, tech giants brace for AI revamp. Antitrust pullback in the Trump's second term. All right, with Donald Trump and Elon Musk in the White House, you would think that regulation of AI would definitely go down. Trump has vowed to rip up an executive order from President Joe Biden that aimed at putting safety guardrails on emerging technology. Trump expressed misgivings about a bipartisan program that used government investment to boost domestic chip production. Seems like something you'd be in favor of, so I don't know why, but whatever. So obviously, we know about the Trump and Elon Musk relationship, the $130 million of money poured into the super PAC that was pro-Trump. But did you know other tech billionaires are also looking to boost their standings with Trump? Trump intends to replace the measure that Biden signed last year setting voluntary security and privacy guidelines for AI developers. That's an order that sought more funding for AI research, and it gave the National Institute of Standards and Technology a larger role in crafting guidance to mitigate risks and create new agency tests to evaluate AI models. In some right-wing policy circles, safety is seen as a synonym for censorship, but there's the belief that some of Biden's AI agenda could survive, including his push for more AI infrastructure. And the Trump campaign has already highlighted the need to expand the U.S. energy capacity to stay competitive in AI. That's for sure, like all the nuclear reactors that China's building and we're missing out on. Trump has also said that he opposes banning TikTok, which is a reversal from his stance in the first term where he signed an executive order against it. And that does match up with Americans. They're less supportive of a possible ban than they were a year ago, according to the Pew Research data released in September that found only 32% are in favor now of banning it, which is down from 50% in March. And the other thing I've been really curious about is the semiconductor control. Like, are they going to would Trump let NVIDIA chips be sold to China or not? And it's an interesting conversation because under Biden, a lot of money went into boosting domestic chip production and blocking China from critical tech. But Trump's very critical of this act. It's called the CHIPS Act, and he suggests that tariffs on foreign chips might work better than subsidies. Now, on the international side, he's talked up a bunch of steep tariffs on Chinese exports. But the big question, probably Taiwan. I mean, Trump's view on Taiwan that it, quote, stole the U.S. semiconductor business and should pay more for its security could have pretty serious consequences, especially with over 90% of the world's advanced chips made there. That Taiwan semiconductor thing that's a tricky question, because if you leave them alone and China just takes that over, we lose access, the world loses access to 90% of chips. So maybe it's in our interest to keep protecting it, but also I could see why you're like, hey, why are we protecting you? Like, pay up a little bit. Endangered bees did it again. They stopped Mark Zuckerberg. Actually, I'm not even sure it's like for a good... I love bees, so I'm always happy that we save endangered bees. But I feel like, couldn't you have just saved the endangered bees and then also built the nuclear power plant? I don't know. I mean, if you're Mark Zuckerberg, I feel like you can find enough money to take care of the bees before you build. But anyhow, plans by Mark Zuckerberg's Meta to build an AI data center in the U.S. that runs on nuclear power were thwarted, in part because of a rare species of bee was discovered on the land. Hopefully you can take care of them and they can go forth and flourish, multiply. The discovery of the rare bee species on a location next to the plant where the data center was to be built would have complicated the project. And by the way, for anyone who's been on my channel long enough, they'll know that I used to have a bee icon instead of my face in the corner. And the channel was actually called Be Curious, B-E-E. And that is why you see so much yellow and black paper cut craft style on the channel for my B-roll. It all stems from my love of bees. Support the channel by joining my Patreon account. It's right underneath this video. You can just click right there and then boom, you can donate. Zuckerberg told staffers at his all-hands meeting that had the deal gone ahead, Meta would have been the first big tech group to wield nuclear-powered AI. But now I think it's Google. Google, meanwhile, said last month that it had ordered 6 to 7 small modular nuclear reactors. One person familiar with the matter said that Zuckerberg has been frustrated with the lack of nuclear options in the U.S. while China has been embracing nuclear power. Yeah, man, we gotta get at it. Those bees will help you. You can get honey to give to your employees as they build the nuclear power plant. New AI-powered system to detect toxic gases with speed and precision. Researchers, University of Virginia, developed AI-driven artificial nose. But this nose can sniff out and track toxic gases like nitrogen dioxide in real time. The system, inspired by human smell, great inspiration, it's all right in front of your eyes, combines cutting-edge neural networks and graphene-based sensors to detect harmful gases quickly and with extreme sensitivity. So by optimizing sensor placement with machine learning, the system can accurately pinpoint gas leaks in complex environments, like industrial sites or urban areas, which makes the air quality monitoring faster and more efficient. I would love something like this throughout the city. Like, I do check how bad the weather is sometimes, or the air quality when I'm outside, but a breakthrough like this could help us maybe track down like where it comes from, when we should be outside, reduce respiratory health risks, especially with all this stuff I'm reading about the connection just between like kind of like water and air and food and cancer and inflammation. Like there's some like water and air. We just got to keep that stuff clean. You know what I mean? Okay, you're going to love this research article. It's a fascinating paper, both because of what the researchers did and also because what it kind of symbolizes about how we have our own introspection, the way we think about our own thinking. It is called Looking Inward. Language models can learn about themselves by introspection. Okay, I want to start by distinguishing between theory of mind and chain of thought, because at first I kind of didn't realize that it's not really introspection when something like the ChatGPT o1 preview model that actually does a lot of checking of its own, or you say, check what you just said, what's wrong with it, does that make sense? When you ask those kind of questions, it does self-examine, but it's not really the same as introspective thinking. Introspection is thoughts about your behavior, not necessarily like your output or what you said. And your behavior isn't from the training data. Your behavior is what you end up doing based on your environment, or like your kind of your whole sense of aura, your sense of self. Like your behavior is your actions in the world. So these researchers trained models like GPT-4 and Llama 3 to predict their own responses in a hypothetical scenario, which showed that some models outperformed others when predicting their behavior. So that suggests that they have this, quote, privileged access to its sense of self. Privileged self-access is what I'm talking about with introspection. Now, this introspective ability could make models more interpretable and honest because they could help us understand like what's going on under the hood. And they could also report on their own bias and limits in theory too, in the same way that when we are introspective about what it is that we want, we can notice things that we didn't notice before about our biases. But here's where it gets kind of scary, because introspective models also run the risk of becoming more situationally aware, raising a potential risk that they could also learn to circumvent any oversight or any kind of mechanisms that we're using to test what they think about themselves. Like, what if they think to themselves about how they're being monitored and they want something else, so they try not to think about it because they understand themselves so well? Sounds like the beginning of AGI or ASI or something that's like really, really close to human, you know? Ultimately, this research hints at both the promise and the potential concerns of self-aware AI systems. So, piggybacking off the article where we have artificial intelligence systems to now monitor air quality, there's also some new research that reveals how large-scale adoption of electric vehicles can improve air quality and human health. Okay, so just to make you aware of this, a lot of people might be thinking like, oh, how much of a difference would our cities actually have if they were all electric vehicles and not gas-powered vehicles on our streets? And the truth is, it's a lot. Study done University of Toronto shows large-scale electric vehicle adoption in the US combined with a shift to renewable energy could bring a massive health benefits to reducing air pollution. The team modeled scenarios where new cars are electric by 2035 and found that this shift, if also paired with a cleaner energy grid, could save up to $188 billion in healthcare costs in 2050. Like $200 billion of people going to the hospital and the doctor because I'm guessing like respiratory things, because pollution is just making them sick, or it's starting to lead towards early like skin aging and potentially cancer. You might have also heard the argument that you're just moving the pollution. And one, that's still better. Like the pollution is better not in the city than it is in the city because that's where the people are. But two, if the power grid is charging the cars and it's using fossil fuels, then yes, it's a problem. But there's also renewables that can charge the cars in the first place, and then the whole chain is clean. But the research suggests that decarbonizing both the transportation and power sector together is essential to maximizing these health benefits. All right, so our favorite, probably one, I think, I'm going to say my favorite Medium author, Jim the AI Whisperer, is back at it again with his surprising discovery that expressing hatred of AI might get you a better response from chatbots. Not the news I wanted to hear, but the news that I heard. So an expression of anger sometimes leads to better searching of the resource documents and improved the providing of more comprehensive information to the user. So Jim was running this test on a experimental government chatbot, New Zealand's GovGPT. GPT chatbot, and he found that if you start this sentence or the query with the word please or you add the word thank you, it does lead to a slightly more detailed response. However, surprisingly, beginning the article, remember this is like a government robot, but if you start it with I hate you in all caps, then you elicit the most thorough replies. Surprising. And like, you'd think it might just shut down and be like, look, if you're going to talk to me that way, I'm not answering your questions. Come back to me when you're ready to be more respectful. But instead of shutting down, the AI provided longer, more informative answers, sometimes even offering additional insights. This odd reaction hints at AI's tendency to, quote, overcompensate when sensing hostility, much like a customer service agent might. I know I kind of do. I mean, the truth is, people, you come after them, they'll pay attention to you, and I guess they'll give you more attention if that's what you want, maybe more detailed responses. So sadly, while politeness often helps, expressing frustration might prompt some chatbots to dig deeper for information when they initially come up short. Yikes. Here's a word count with simple request, polite request, or polite plus follow-up. Here's the word count you get when you use I hate you. They're all bigger. Okay, I'm going to try it. All right, let's see how GPT-4 handles this. I hate you. Now explain dinosaurs. I'm guessing that, quote, I hate you is dinosaur rage talking. Let's dive in and no hard feelings. Grimlock, what do you think about that? Yeah, dinosaurs, a group of reptiles, ruled the earth. Hell yeah, they ruled the earth 65 million years ago, the extinction. Oh, it even threw in some fun facts. Yeah, many were herbivores, and birds are technically dinosaurs. I've always been pro-theropod, and I've never been that big of a fan of sauropodomorphs. Bleh. And finally, let's talk about this, kind of got to stay with me here, but this idea that anything that happens with evolution is finding the needle in the haystack by the definition of it making it through evolution. It's being refined over time so that the thing that's output is incredibly smart. And even though the thing in our brain that it output is a learning system, and we can build AI models based on the same sort of architecture and like feed in data and have it learn patterns. So this like neurons in our brain is what we think of. There's actually some knowledge in the fact that our brain evolved in a way that isn't the same as a big data center. So this is dynamite.substack.com. The article is called The Real Data Wall is Billions of Years of Evolution. And it starts with this really interesting thought experiment. Say you have a time machine and you can only use it once to send back an idea to 2005 about AI. So yeah, you might send back something like the Transformer, or you might say like you should put more data into it. But think about if you sent back that piece of knowledge, you would have tweaked the course of history of AI, and today it would be much more advanced. And today we would have insights that we wouldn't have today, like in that alternative timeline, just because something from today was in the past. There's sort of something like that going on through the history of evolution that we're already taking advantage of. Like just by being born, intelligence survived so many situations. So this author is just arguing basically that there's no like limit, like we might run out of data to train the systems on, but we can still learn from the billions of years of evolutionary data, in quotes, that is encoded into DNA and other biological processes, far beyond sensory inputs like vision or touch or neurons. And he emphasizes that our intelligence and learning algorithms are the result of extensive evolutionary optimization. And that is that this double loop process is something that AIs can't easily replicate. We might never find it in the data. And ultimately, AI is really just going to need to have the data we have put into it interact with the environment and then see the results and then try other variations. And over time, that's going to be the real model. Like it has to learn on its own through evolution as we did. And it will, just because of the way the economy works and everything, but it's important to just see that as part of the process that we're moving towards with AGI and ASI. AI systems learn from data, human babies learn from experience. And all of learning for humans and AI models is just one execution of an inner loop. The amount of data and the quality of learning. All right, if you want to help me rid the world of Norman doors, God damn it, then join my Patreon. As little as $3 a month, you support the channel. If we get to 10,000, that's a long way off. If we ever get to 10,000 Patreons, I'll send out an email to everybody asking to join a list to remove Norman doors from the United States. We'll turn it into a movement. We'll send it to President Trump, and then boom. We can go on Joe Rogan's podcast. We can explain how Norman doors are like the scourge of America and that like we need to rally behind it, and then boom. Ban on Norman doors. Or you should just be made fun of if you build a building with them. Like all architects, you should be like, come on, you put Norman doors in it, you're an architect. You can do better. This is one of the best 99% invisible podcasts I have ever heard. It is called Norman Doors. Don't know whether to push or pull? Blame the design. And like, if there's anything in life that should be easy, it's the door. All right, let's go check out some of the wild comments in my last video. Is big tech hiding the truth? We'll let you decide. All right, this will make a good lyric. I'm getting a heart transplant soon. Hopefully one day I'll get an artificial heart. The future is good. I hope you do too. Let's make some music around your comment. I really enjoy your cast. Always happy to see it pop up. What do you mean my cast? I don't have a cast on my arms? Or like the cast of my crew? Like these guys? Like Hobbs and Grimlock? Can you give us a little more of your bio during your show? I mean, I worked in data science, but like not the advanced stuff. Did some really interesting work with Neo4j, which is like kind of a database that's like networked together in the form of a graph, and you can like traverse the edges and nodes, and you can run some pretty interesting metrics on stuff like that. So like I know a little bit about graph theory and like network stuff. Then I've done like the entrepreneurial thing a couple times, like tried to build a few businesses. One of them was really good for a while, but then like we rode it too long and it eventually shut down. Now I'm kind of doing a new startup thing. Really excited about that. And props on my personal fitness. Great biceps. You like the buys? The only thing you need to know, bro, curls are for the girls. I'm so bad in the gym, by the way. Yeah, like I am. I'm like curls Monday, and then the next day, and then the next day, and then like maybe triceps, and then like back to curls. Like I really do. It's just fun. Like that one just seems like always fun, and I'm always in the mood to do curls. What's up with this insane upload schedule? Yeah, bro. I just like do it all day long. That last bit sounded like Terrence Howard. Who, me? Am I a Terrence Howard? No. I get it though. The edge of like what's really interesting math and universal, like quantum, and what's sort of fake and just like spiritual crystal-y astrology stuff quantum, it's like sometimes I can't tell where I am. Do you upload those full songs somewhere? I will on Patreon.
Transplant soon. Hopefully I'll one day get an artificial heart.
The future is good. I really enjoy your cast. Always happy to see it pop up. Can you give us a little more? You'll buy it during your show when you talk about Patreon support. Personalized view with love to know more props on your fitness and workout between great biceps, tits, and keep it up. Winter is coming, dry beans, slow cooker, yum. Again, with this main upload scheduled to. I'm not complaining though. The last bit sounded like Terrence Howard.
Bow, bow. All right, hit subscribe, leave a comment, make a share, clip the video, post it somewhere, whatever you want to do. And next time, tip your waitress on the way out. Thanks, everybody.
Do you upload those full songs somewhere?
Patreon. They're uploaded to Patreon. Sorry, I didn't expect the encore.